Hello and welcome to the Blue Tweezers channel, myself Alan from the channel, and to another Wargaming chat, rather a novelty here. We've done one before, and we're just going to be chatting about a few things here. I'll just send off some posts so everybody knows it's all started. Okay, that should do us, and hopefully we'll have a few visitors. Looks like we do have a few. Great to see you. This is Wargaming chat, of course, so feel free to put some stuff in the chat to chat about. It's just going to be fairly freeform, and I got the tagline there, what are you playing? So just going through what I'm playing at the moment, a bit of an update on some of the stuff I mentioned in the last chat. Excuse me. And Chris, hello mate. Yeah, welcome. JBX, brilliant, good to see you. Oh, so we've yeah, it's great to have some people in to have a chat this evening. Crossing obstacles as well. Marvellous, marvellous. Sound out anybody else, please. So yeah, just an update from me, really. Michael as well. Welcome. Yeah, thanks for popping in. Quite a few regulars here, which is great. Great to see. Oh, what are you playing? Chris is playing Under an Iron Sky, Thin Red Line Games. Yes, the yeah, 1985. So that's the that's the Central Front one, isn't it? It's there's a different one for the Baltics. There was a Baltic one as well. I haven't got any of those. I haven't really tried that. I'm not much of a sort of mid-80s theoretical person, really, for games. Although I've got interest in two at the moment. You would have seen if you were on the last chat that I've been doing some solo Red Storm, of course, which is from the same time period, and I'm also doing some work with The Long Road, which is mid-80s but a bit weird, not quite historical, shall we say, with a lot of with some fantasy stuff mixed in with it. So yeah, I've been toying with those, but in general, I'm not much of a 1985 mid-80s person. New one in October, Sacred Oil. Oh, was that Middle East? I'm presuming. Battles from the Black Cavalry. Okay, well, Stratagem Art don't have any of those games anyway, so everybody's all a bit more avant-garde than me. I'm boring old GMT and MMP and that kind of thing. Everybody's branched out into other game companies here, so well done, everybody. Let me know how it's going. The Battles of the Black Cavalry. Can you let me know what that's about? Actually, I haven't heard of that one before. Be interesting to hear. So what am I going to talk about? Yep, just what I've been playing. So I've continued with the Red Storm a little bit. I've been a bit busy this week. Two things. My nephew got married, so I've been away helping organise the wedding and going through it and everything. So that's taken up a bit of the week as well. And also I've been doing some voiceover work as well for radio play, as well as normal work. So as you can imagine, Wargaming took a little bit of a back seat, but still got some stuff done. Indeed, you may have seen if you've been following the channel that we finished the Elusive Victory, Arab Israeli War air game with Jordan. Week before last it was we finished and ended up with a big win for me. I thought I'd lost it, but I'd managed to knock down enough Israeli Mirages and F4s such that I got quite quite a clear win there. So it was a bit surprise for both of us, seeing as the targets for the Israelis, the ground targets, were hit very, very hard. And yeah. How's the hangover? Well, unfortunately, I was doing a lot of driving and stuff, so I didn't go over the top. Although my children do is telling everybody that I did do a little bit too much dad dancing, and on on Saturday morning, my knees felt it. My knees really did feel it. Flying Colours crossing, Flying Colours. I've never played it again, and it's a GMT, but I've never played it. Again, not a massive naval tactical person myself as well. So tell us about it. How's the rules going? How's the rules going? And Sacred Oil, Soviet and Iraq versus NATO and Iran. Okay, right. It's an interesting one. I have to see how that. There was the one thing I have been following is the reprint or the reissue of the Third World War series, the LGDW, which I did have a copy of a long time ago. And in fact, I was actually part of a team which played all four together over a weekend. It was absolutely nuts. I'm not sure how far we got really, because we decided to split up the teams so that each person had a nation on each of the boards. I'm trying to remember. I think I was the Danes, the West Germans, what was it? The Greeks maybe. And then the Israelis. So, I was spread about, and I don't think that worked very well at all. Nobody knew what the hell was going on. But that's being reissued, and that of course covers this sort of wide thing that the Under an Iron Sky series seems to want to do as well. I'm contemplating reinvesting, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure on that. I don't know if anybody else is going to be investing in that. It's Compass doing it, I think. Compass are coming out with them. I'm not sure where it is. I think it was it was announced a little while ago, and I'll keep thinking about it. Shall I say? I'll keep thinking about it, because I imagine it's all four of those games together, so it's going to be a massive thing. And I don't really have the space to actually physically play it, so it will all be Vassal anyway. I don't know. I think maybe it's just a little bit too much nostalgia for me. Maybe just sort of remembering good times with the game. Excuse me, I got a bit of a frog in my throat. So JBX 1944 Falaise Pocket. Okay, who's that by? I don't recognise that one. Is that the Battles of the Black Cavalry? Is that the Falaise Pocket then? Right. Okay, I'll have to have a look at that one. Chris, you're going for it. Not due until 2020. I'm not surprised. It's a hell of a beast to produce. I can imagine. And Compass is. They're fairly prolific. They have a prestigious output frequency. I think they're always coming out with games, and so I'm sure it's at the end of a very, very long queue for them. But as I say, I'm still thinking about it. Indeed. Charles, welcome, Charles, and Defending America. That's that new Compass thing, isn't it? That's the is that Air Game? Is it Bombing America or something? First mission. Okay, so learning it. Well, it's just new out, isn't it? So you probably wouldn't have played much of it. Avalon Africa Corps. Oh yes, I was always fascinated by. I've never had the game, but I was always fascinated by the lid. It has that kind of what was it, like a paragraph of writing, but then these little icons interspersed of, it talks about Rommel and it shows a little picture of Rommel, and there's the Africa Corps and there's a tank symbol or something like that. I didn't know really what to make of that. It was sort of a strange thing, but I've never played it. You're all playing things that I've never played, so it's not much to chat about, really, is there? Unless you can tell me, stuff about it. So, but good stuff. A couple there. Brilliant. Cheers, Charles. And so let me show you a little bit of what I've been doing. So I did mention the Red Storm. So let's just have a look at my my display here, and we can get where are we? Here we go. Let's just show that. Now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to shift myself to the side. As you can imagine, that was very nifty footwork, just to pop to the side, maybe a little bit more. Just to, reviewing the last Wargame chat, I did this sort of screen, screen share on the Vassal, and I think it was a little bit too small. It was difficult to quite see what's going on here. So, from the last chat, I was. This is a solo scenario in Red Storm, so it's purpose built for being solo rather than just taking any old scenario. And it's called Close Air Support. I'll zoom out, and what we have is we've got a couple of bombing raids coming in against a Soviet division just over the border, and so we've got four tasks for the aircraft. So we have what's known as fast forward air controller. So this is almost like forward air. It's a spotter that's going really fast and really low, trying not to get shot down, just finding out where all the troop movements are. And this is, as you can see, these red areas are the edge of the board. So everything to the left is irrelevant. And there's two of these divisions. There's and they're kind of bisected. So to the left, from the center of the board, is one division, and to the right is the other. And as it happens, you roll to see which division you attack with which raid. And I just happen to roll that they both go for the, I think it's a 4th mech or something on the right. So we have these fast FAC aircraft, one of which is here. Let me zoom in. We've got a set of F4Fs, I think they are, which are 4F Phantom 2s, which are West German, and they're toddling around trying to spot the ground movements. Now, these blue X's are the ones that have been spotted so far. We also have here, we have another flight which is also doing fast forward air controller, and this is how the dice rolls can kind of bug you up a bit, because they're actually A-10 Thunderbolts, but they're effectively unarmed. They've got no bombs or anything, so all they're doing is spotting. So we've got a rather slow aircraft trying to spot these targets. Behind them, we've got some American F4G Wild Weasels. So there's a couple of aircraft in there, and they've got HARM anti-radiation missiles, and they've been firing them off. I think they've got one left now against these SAM batteries here. So they've hit 2 and missed 1. So these are effectively not quite destroyed, but out of the game. And they've got one left to fire it at something else with a radar at a later turn, and then that will be them done, really. And then behind them we've got the 2 raids. So first one is a set of Canadian F5s, would you believe, doing bombing. They've got anti-tank cluster bombs on them, so we'll see how they go. But again, the dice rolling, you'd expect the A-10s to be on the bombing run and the F5s to be on the fast vac. but it ended up in the other way. And also we got some American A7 Corsairs. So again, rather strange. I thought they were naval aircraft, but yeah, they're in here. Are going to be doing some cluster bomb and also electro-optical guided missiles as well. They're going to fire off at these. So that's where we're at. What's happened so far is we've spotted these ground units, 11th mech. That's what they are, 11th mech. Whereas the others over here on the right are 4th mech. And we've been spotted and fired at, but no damage as yet. And let's say we've got a couple of SAM batteries that we've dealt with as well. With the but this is turn 7. I think the beginning of turn 7 now. Haven't been able to do too much with this, but the guys to worry about are these book SA13. Sorry, SA11s. Can't even see me on my own screen properly. SA11 books here, which have been firing off. They're a bit dangerous as well. But as we're on the deck and we're flying quite fast, and it's rough, this sort of yellowy area is rough. Then it's difficult to detect us and difficult to hold on to our aircraft. With the exception of the F4 Wild Weasels, who are at medium altitude, everybody else is on the deck and it's going to stay there really. But that's where we are with it. So I think we're doing okay. But we'll see how the bombing runs go, because that's really the meat of this. We've done as good as we should do so far, and that's the Red Storm. So yeah, it is a solo scenario. There's no sort of hidden dummies and all that kind of stuff. But the rules do it's kind of a puzzle, because solo. There's no Soviet aircraft. It's just air versus ground. It's kind of almost like an exercise, but it's quite fun. And yeah, it's good if you don't want to do the standard scenarios as solo. So there we go with that. Yeah, and next we have. Do I always play on Vassal? Almost always. Not much of a TTS person. I have played a couple of things. We've done a rough and blue, I think. The Atlantic Chase we did was on TTS, and I think we've done something else on TTS. I actually tried, recently I tried Fields of Fire on TTS, and it was okay. It was a lot of toing and froing, though, to placing counters and taking counters away, because in Atlantic Chase, when you're doing one of the any of the particular actions, you have to place counters. Who's the actor, who are you acting upon, and things like, is there an airstrike involved? Is there contributions from other? So there was quite a lot of toing and froing with counters across the board. So not a brilliant experience. But yeah, mostly Vassal. Generally, Vassal tends to have those little menu options on the counters, so you can place markers and things like that, or eliminate, or flip and things like that. It's very much easier to manipulate the counters, I think, on Vassal, as long as the Vassal module is very well built. If it's a very basic Vassal module, then it's a pain, because you're constantly going to the marker. So for example, here on the Red Storm here, the SAM launch counters, when we were playing, if you'd seen it, the Elusive Victory, you could place SAM launch markers onto your SAMs when they fire. In the Red Storm, you can't do that, so you have to go up to the pieces, and that's the annoying bit about Vassal, is if there isn't these special capabilities, you're constantly going into the pieces bucket to pick out markers, etc. But yeah, and Vassal's been around a lot longer, I suppose, or certainly in the wargaming world, so I'm kind of used to it. And I'm using it a lot more than I used to, because I've not quite got the space I used to have as well. I used to have a much bigger table and could get things out and spread out a bit. Now can't really do that anymore, because one of my tables has got this whole setup, and I use it for work as well. So working from home after all the COVID stuff. So yeah, a little bit restricted. Fred, does Red Storm solo well for normal missions? So what it does is it actually has a few paragraphs on that in the rulebook, and it says, well, what you do is you ignore this, this feature, that feature, that feature, and that feature, these particular sets of rules, and it's all about the all that sort of dummy movements, and all the sort of false dummy SAMs, dummy radars, that kind of things. Mostly that the dummy. Everything is kind of, you know where everything is. So it says, well, there's no point in doing all the pretending to do all that stuff. It's okay. It's all right. I think you can play both sides without getting too multiple personality about it. I ran a scenario when I first got Red Storm, which was a sort of fighter sweep by the Soviets on NATO. It was quite a big one, actually. I didn't finish it because it was just so huge. There must have been about 20 flights on the Soviet side. But I didn't see an issue. I didn't have a problem really with not having the dummy rules and things like that. It just seemed to work all right, and you kind of were able to do what you were able to do. Particularly with that scenario with the Soviets, is that when the Soviets were coming over, they had to stay pointing in the same direction until they crossed the border. And also the NATO side, until Soviet aircraft crossed the border, they had to either sit in the airfield, or they would have to go around what's known as an orbit point. There's one here. I'll show you these orbit points, or rally points. So they were kind of sitting on there, and yeah, it is GMT. Yeah, absolutely, a GMT. So it's the Downtown series. Elusive Victory is the previous one to Red Storm, and then the first one was Downtown, which was the North Vietnamese, the bombing campaign against North Vietnam, with things like 105s and F-105s and things like that. Where was I? Oh yes. So it's sitting on your shelf, glaring at you. Yeah. Yeah, have a go. I mean, if you do know Downtime and you know Elusive Victory, then you will know this. That it's more sophisticated as far as the aircraft and the weaponry goes. There are a few more things like the different types of bombing expands, but the core mechanics are absolutely identical. Just a few tiny differences I've noticed on it, but other than that, it's really pretty faithful to the previous two games. So if you know either of the previous two, then you should be able to pick it up pretty quickly, I think. But yeah, it's quite fun. As I said, I'm not really into 1980s, and then the first thing I'll show you what I'm playing is 1980s. So there you go. Nobody called me reliable. Okay, so that's where we are with the Shelf of Shame. Yes, I know. Yes, I've got one too, and I don't know if you've seen me when I was a guest on the War Room, with my shameful admission that I had Navajo Wars on the shelf, which was still in its shrink wrap, and guess what? It's still in its shrink wrap. Would you believe it? Yeah, hang my head in shame. Absolutely. And well, to be honest, with this number of games now, I suppose the whole shelf is a shelf of shame, because you try and get through them as quickly, and then you don't do justice to any of them. You go, oh, actually, I should really play that. So I'll stop what I'm doing here and I'll play that, and then that's there and that's laid out, and you start playing it and then go, oh, actually, I should be playing that. So yeah, it's always a problem. I don't know. It occasionally it kind of almost depresses me. If you see what I mean, it's yeah. I don't know how you'd say it. You kind of get a little bit deflated and go, oh my God, I've got all these things and I've paid the money and they're sitting here and they're using up space and I'm doing anything with them. What the hell's wrong with me? We're not alone, indeed. That's right, Chris. I think when I was talking to the guys at the War Room, I said there should be a Wargamers Anonymous, which people can go to and go, hi. I haven't bought a game in a month, and everybody go, yay, hooray. But I mean, you're supposed to enjoy this hobby, and I do. So there you go. Actually, what I'll do is I'll bring forward and I'll talk about another item I wanted to talk about. Fred, you're down to. Oh, you're getting a list together. Oh my God, you're in. Sounds like you're in deep trouble there. You have to make a list now. So, try and force yourself. And Charles, you remove the shrink to reduce the shape. I don't think that works, really. I don't think that works. Yeah, you look inside the box. Yeah, I do that. I mean, I have no idea why the shrink wrap is still on Navajo Wars. It looks like a great game, and I really love Comancheria, which is its sister game. And so, Chris, you have a problem. I think we all have a problem. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't be in this chat if you didn't have a problem, and I wouldn't be running the channel if I didn't have a problem. I don't know. Whenever I get a game, I know a lot of people store their games in these sort of collector's items and stuff. Sometimes they buy two and keep one in shrink wrap. I can't do that normally. I mean, as soon as it comes through the door, I'm going, right, let's have a look. Let's rifle through it and get the shrink wrap. That's why I don't do any unboxings and stuff, because I've already unboxed it. And I suppose a lot of people do that and then do an unboxing that let's look at this, what's in there, and they've already opened it. But I don't think I can pretend that well. JPX buy games for the future. Well, yeah. And will you have time later to play them? That's the thing, because life will get in the way invariably, like weddings and radio plays and work and things like that. So, and then I suppose you get to the point where 6 months down the line, you haven't played it because you haven't had the time, and then you still get this kind of, oh, God, Charles, I pretend I have less shame. Well, good. Compartmentalisation of the mind is great. You've got the bit that's looking at all the games going, oh, God, what the hell? And the other bit is going, there's no problem, I'm fine. Yes, maybe develop a Twitch or something like that, like or something like that to give it the do a live unboxing now to help you get the shrink wrap off. Well, you know what? Why not? Why not indeed? That's a great idea. Although it is a bit of a talking point. That's the thing. I mean, if you're doing chats and things like that, you're talking to other people War Game, to actually have a game still in shrink wrap and say, "Oh, this is terrible," is a little bit of melodrama, which you can spice up what you're talking about. And VK Sims don't use shrink wrap. They do. That's correct. So they spare the blushes. It's probably a good thing. As well, and they're very, very good games, of course. I know Ruff, who does the Rough and Blue stuff with me normally around this time of the week. Yes, he's just got a couple of those, and he thinks they're great. So I'm looking at those. Not that I have a problem or anything. Anyway, let's pop out and let's do that unboxing then. Right, pop me back into there. So, headphones off. Hang on. Here we go. So here we are, shrink wrapped. You can get the glare. Shrink wrapped Navajo Wars here. Now, of course, doing this sort of thing impromptu, it's the kind of thing in show business, never work with children or animals, is that, okay, shrink wrap, I've got to get it off. Now, I'm not going to do the old rip it with your teeth kind of thing. I used to do that, but I don't have the teeth to do that anymore, frankly. I think I'd leave a couple of them behind, embedded in the game. But as luck would have it, spare my blushes, got some scissors. One thing I have been doing recently with a couple of games is if you're really careful with the shrink wrap and you go along the bottom, so if you go sort of in the groove here, and if you're really careful, what you can do is you can remove the bottom bit, but you can keep the shrink wrap on the lid. Now, I don't know why I did that, or do that, but it just seemed like a great preservation idea. It sort of preserves the top of the box. I don't know. Let's see if we can do it now, because sometimes it just, of course, there isn't. You don't get the opportunity because it splits. But, oh, there you go. Well, look at that. Wow. It's Arts and Crafts at Blue Tweezer's channel. So yeah, still got the shrink wrap on. So I can still pretend I have the shrink wrap on Navajo Wars when it's on the shelf and do the old, shelf of shame thing about it. But I can also open it as well. So there we go. Gilwood College does that with it. Okay. Well, I don't pretend to be an innovator here. It's just something I think the first time I did it was with Stellar Horizons. This is a massive box, huge box, and I sort of did it round and it just fell off, and I went, oh, I've still got it on the lid. Oh, we'll keep it like that. So it wasn't. It was a spontaneous thing. It wasn't me coming up with an amazingly good idea as planned. There you go. It's still on there. Look at that. Very good. Bag. We have a bag, black bag. I feel like I'm about to do a magic trick, sort of, there, a bit of Tommy Cooper, if anybody knows him, bag, cards, bag, cards in bag, no cards. No, that doesn't. It's not very good. Right, we have two stacks of cards. We have the play deck. Although I wonder, there might be several decks in this, a bit like Comancheria. There's lots of little decks, and we have what looks like from Comancheria the culture cards. So I'll get my. So now what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and remove the bottom half of the shrink wrap and keep the top half. So that, yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. No. That would be completely pointless, wouldn't it? Okay, let's have a look. This is an extended unboxing, of course, so and not your standard fare of camera from the top. So we have, yes, culture cards are here. So how many levels? So level 1, level 2, level 3. Yeah, so it's the same as Comancheria. So level 3 of blue, which are weaving. Then 3 of horsemanship. That's very much like Comancheria. That's horsemanship here. Cunning. That's a new one. Religion. 3 for religion. 3 of masters of the Mises. I suppose that's yeah. There's trying to remember in Comancheria what the Lords of the Plains is on that. Sharp traders, warrior society, and wisdom of the ancient ones. Oh, no, that sounds a bit Cthulhu, doesn't it? I'm sure it isn't, but just immediately came to mind. And a headman enemy way table, a little player aid card on a card on an actual card. So that's those cards. What are these cards? Let's have a quick look. Now, half of you have probably got this game already, and you know all of this stuff. So I'm just like wasting my time. Tommy Cooper in the house, yes. Yeah, the bottle trick. I always like the bottle trick. It's great. If you don't know him, look him up. Great 1970s, 1960s entertainer. A magician who was a really great magician, but was just really rubbish. In the act was as if he was a rubbish one, even though he was a good one. Okay, operations cards, ceremony cards. I do not know what these are. This seems like something different. The Pueblo Revolt. So there's a sort of like the events deck in Comancheria. This is probably the same thing. It's called the play deck. So yeah, not going to say too much about these because I'm not sure. It's something like the old play deck. And if you don't know Comancheria, you don't know what I'm talking about either. So there you go. Brune, yeah, thanks for popping in and seeing us. Dice 3d6, interesting colours. This is sort of like a crimson, sort of a pastel blue, and this sort of orange yellow kind of thing, sunset yellow kind of thing. That's quite attractive actually for colours of dice. Usual black or red or white or blue or green are sort of fairly boring by now. Those are slightly different colours, and we have a load of square blocks, little square blocks, very Eurogamerish. So those rules of play. Oops, hang on, we've got two things here. Rules of play and playbook. Rules of play, like Comancheria, is not too long. 20 pages, and the actual rules, I think, are major events, victory check. Oh no, it's pretty full. So yeah, last page is there's a glossary on the end, but other than that, it's full rules. So there's 18 pages of actual rules there. So not a lot of bump on the end. Playbook. With what have we got? We've got the scenarios, 6 scenarios, optional rules, 2-player semi-cooperative variant. Oh, that's interesting because that's not if I hold that up as the whoops. There we go. That's the index on the playbook. 2-player cooperative. There's nothing like that in Comancheria, so this is interesting. That's and if I hadn't opened this, I wouldn't have known it. So thank you very much for the suggestion, Chris. There we go. Flowcharts. Enemy raid, tribal raid. Yeah, pretty much. Comancheria here is that kind of thing. We have a raid table. Oh, we got quite a lot. Oh, we got a big sort of three-page triptych, I think they're called. Player aid here. Logo. Planning summary. Planning by Comancheria. Passage of time. That's intruder counter effects. Actions. Victory check. Trade goods summary. Battle table. Okay, so yeah, if you look at that, that's got there's actually like a combat results table here, which Comancheria didn't really have. You just had a kind of result that you knew what was going to happen. But yeah, there's it looks a little bit more complex on that raid and combat side than Comancheria. Maybe that sort of simplified. We have counter and a half here. So mostly informational, of course, and yeah, some yeah, familiar stuff. Horses. There's some sheep here, so there's only horses in horses and bison. Here we have horses and sheep, and yeah, we have the enemies. Got where are we there? We've got Spanish armies. War columns and stuff, so yeah, good. And same here with this other. I just knocked a counter out. Oh, I've done it now. It's now punched. Oh god, some more coming out as well. That's one of the thing with there's a lot of GMT games and some of the others is they're producing these sort of laser cut things, which you look at the counter sheet and it just disintegrates in front of your eyes. Yeah, the tweezers, yeah, which are over here. Yes, NHS, British National Health Service, disposables, but I haven't disposed of them. So yeah, it was just everybody's got these metal things, big long ones. I see the big long ones. I'm thinking, my God, how do you manage with that? It must be so unwieldy. And these with the plastic and stuff, they've got a little bit of give actually. When you press them together, they give a little bit, so you can really really press onto a counter up until the point that it flies off the air and across the room, and you'll never find it again. But yeah, up until that point, I find them quite useful, and they're quite light as well, just plastic. And if they break, just get a new one. There you go. But it's sufficiently different look, I always thought. And yes, I got them off my ex-mother-in-law, who was a nurse. She brought a set home one day and went, "You like tweezers? How about these?" And I went, "Oh, that's interesting." And it went from there. Anyway, what are we on? Oh, we've got the board. Okay, how am I going to do this? Well, I know what I know what we'll do. I know what we'll do. Yeah, so if you want to get these tweezers, well, there's two ways you can get these tweezers. You can order them online. I mean, they're just medical supplies. These just happen to be the NHS ones because it's in this country, but I think they're generally available. So you can buy them in packs of 10. They're also the other thing, of course, is they're also sterile when you get them in their sealed packs. So, in the old times of COVID, etc., you've got some secure tweezers there that you can rely on. They're not going to contaminate anything. Whatever. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch across to my other camera. How's this for sophistication? I did this last time and it kind of worked. Let's see how this goes. So 1, 2, 3. There we go. And I'm going to shift myself off to the side. Now what we're looking at there is what I've actually got on the table, kind of that way. You might have squeezed it just out of the corner of the first camera. But what I'm going to do is I'll lay out the map over there on top of the game I've got there, which, if you didn't know already, is it's Galicia 1914, which is one of the recent Paper Wars magazine games. I'm going to pop over there, and hopefully you'll still be able to hear me. I'll move the microphone so hopefully you'll still be able to see what's going on. Oh, it's doing that horrible microphone thing where you shift it and then it's got some kind of slightly out of balance, so then it just swings back like a door. The door that's not hung properly, and you open it and then it slowly closes. You've got a microphone that you move it and then it slowly goes back to where it was. But I'll try and be a bit louder, and so that you'll see. Jester would be proud of me by being so loud. In joke with the war room. So let's see if we can open this out without mucking up the other game. I'm not well known for my dexterity, so this will be difficult, and hopefully it shows up on the camera as well, because once it's down I ain't moving it. There we go. And of course it's now upside down for you, and also actually it covers most of it. Let me see if I can twist it around. I'm really going to ruin what I've got underneath, but it's worth you seeing it right side up rather than me, rather than you guys having to twist your heads around. Well, there we go. So can you see most of it? I think that's as best as I'm going to be able to do without it becoming a complete disaster. Let's there we go, there I am, just popping around the camera here. Good. So yeah, there you can see the spaces are pebbles, coloured pebbles, and I presume the colours are regions a bit like Comancheria. Again, if you don't know Comancheria, you won't know what I'm talking about, but go back and watch on the channel. I've got some live stream stuff of playing Comancheria, and you'll get an idea there. So is that actually right way up now for you? I'm just thinking. Yeah, it is. Yeah, the yellow is at the bottom, so there's not too much at the top. There's a lot on the other end here which you cannot see. Double camera is very professional. One camera it comes with the laptop I'm on, and the other camera is a USB webcam, which my other half was using because her inbuilt camera wasn't working properly, and then it started to work properly. She doesn't need it anymore, so I've just nicked it and used it as a second camera here. So somebody's noticed the shirt. Yes, BFC Burnley Football Club. That's correct. Yeah. Sort of Burnley, which hardly anybody has ever heard of as a football team, but they are in the UK Premiership. Have been for 6 years. It's just that nobody tends to notice them much, or forgets them out quite easily because they're not one of the big spenders and famous. Well, they are a famous club from historical purposes, but they're not any of the big six or anything like that. But well spotted there, Bruno. Thank you very much. And we of course have the bottom of the box here. If I just remove that camera now, because it doesn't look too good, does it? No, not really. Shift myself back. There we go. And yeah, we've got the bottom of the box. And for everybody's information, single map, 1.5 counter sheets, 80 cards and 20 cubes, 2-player egg cards, rulebook, playbook, bag to draw cubes from, 3 6-sided dice, age 14 plus. Does anybody ever take notice of that? Really? Does anybody? I mean, I've never. I think my son was about 8 when I played like Empire of the Sun with him. So, you know, I don't know. It's sort of strange, as if there's sort of like a. It's like the old BBFC, which is in this country, the British Board of Film Classification. You know, sort of like, which is R-rated or PG or something like that. It just seems a little bit like that. And so, well, whatever. I started playing Kingmaker when I was 9 on my own. So I don't really. 1 to 10. A turn is from 1 to 10 years. I didn't read the a turn bit, and it said time 1 to 10 years. I was thinking, really? Is this like it's like a rival for campaign for North Africa here? But no, it's a turn is from 1 to 10 years, not the playing time. And it's 1 to 2 players. So that I should have seen that with the 2-player thing, because I've got a mate of mine who play a lot of Skies Above the Reich co-op. Storm Above the Reich is the new one that came out, and this is because Comanche is only 1 player. There's no co-op version of that, or not that I've invented anyway. Reference to what we've been doing with the Fields of Fire. If you saw last weekend, there's a huge amount of mayhem going on with trying to do a co-op version of Fields of Fire. I'm not sure it's very successful, certainly as far as results go, but we'll see. But yeah, this has 2 players, so I should have looked at the back and spotted this and gone, all right, I can use it in that way. Right, so now you guys are going to have to talk amongst yourselves, because I'm going to be putting all this stuff back again. I'll tell you what, I won't put the board back quite yet. I'll put the rest back in, and then I'll remove the board when I get over to talk about Galicia 1914. We'll be in the Premier League as long as you keep Sean Darcy. Yeah, indeed, the manager is kind of he's God at the football club. He's the main. Well, he's the famous one in the club. It's the manager, not the players, because he's just done an incredible job of keeping them all up. Because we haven't. Hopefully, you've been able to hear me while I've been rattling along. Sorry, it turned around because I stretched the cable here. This is actually my my headphones cable, so I can hear myself. That sounds a little bit self-obsessed, doesn't it? Fields of Fire was up to Tony's standard dice skills. Well, you don't do dice, of course, it's cards, but I was actually picking the cards. So it was my fault that Tony's HQ got leathered as soon as it landed. Not first time. Shouldn't have landed the helicopters. Again, if you're not au fait what was all that about, it's a Vietnam scenario where we're landing an entire company by helicopter, and yeah, we had some AK-47 fire on the landing zone just as Tony's platoon, who was the platoon commander, landed, and yeah, the team, the HQ team for the platoon was a casualty. Anyway, yeah, sorry about that. I hadn't realised that the thing was pointing the wrong way. Yeah, just here off the end. So if you see it move, do let me know. You know, kind of tunnel vision while doing these things. Okay. Where was I? What was I doing? Oh yes, we were going. So there you go. First unboxing on the Blue Tweezers channel. Yeah, forced me into it. But there you are. Navajo Wars is now out of its shrink wrap. Well, half out of its shrink wrap. It's kind of half still on, and I can still bleat about it. If people don't watch this chat, they won't know the difference. I can still say it's still in shrink wrap, and I'm still ashamed and carry on with talking points. But we know better, don't we? We do know better. Okay, so what was I going to? Oh yes, on to some other games I've been playing. So Chris, yeah, with about the GMT sale, you either already. Yes, that's right. What? Yes, that's what I was coming to. Actually, I was going to fast forward onto what I wanted to talk about with the GMT games. So, yes, interesting initiative. I think it's still got about 3 days to go. So if you P500 did games in the last couple of years, then for each game you did that for, you get a 50% discount on another game. And embarrassingly, I think I have 11 opportunities. You get one as long as you did some kind of P500, I think, or you're currently on P500, and then you get one per game in that period that you P500 it, and they sent it to you. I'm on 11. Now the problem is you, as Chris was kind of saying in the chat there, the problem is if you have that many, then there isn't any other games to buy. You bought them all. But I did manage to get a set of games, and I was going to just move them onto the screen. I can turn. Actually, I want to take the live streaming off separately so I can still see the chat. But let's turn that display on. There we go, and I'll shift myself to the side again. So here, this is the first one I got. A Time for Trumpets. So I feel like a stuck record here. You know, I said I wasn't into sort of naval tactical games, and I'm not into the 1980s. Not into the Bulge either. I feel like I'm lying. But yeah, I think I've only got one. I've got 2 Bulge games. One's a card game called Nuts, which is really old. I'm not sure I've still got the full set anymore of the cards. And the other one is the Fast Action Battles Bulge game, which I was interested in the system rather than necessarily the situation. I think Bulge has that. It's like along with Gettysburg and Barbarossa, I think, is kind of the there's just too much out there, I think. And so, however, the first thing that attracted me to it is it's battalion level. So I've got a couple of the BCS titles from Multiman, Brazen Chariots, and what's the other one? God, I can't remember. It's the other North African one. So I didn't see BCS until those were out. I didn't see it when there was the last Blitzkrieg, which is called Bulge, and that's battalion level. So as I can't get hold of that unless I want silly money, this is an option. Now, when I saw it in P500, I thought, well, you know, it's Bulge. You know, hey Tony's popping in. Wonderful. Good to see you, mate. Good to see me, mate. Yeah, I hope whatever you had to do that was busy, you've done. Yeah, Brun, Worthington, sure. Battle of the Bulge 44 as well. There was there's the Deadly Woods as well that's come out recently. There's loads of Bulge games, and it's just I don't know. It doesn't float my boat. Maybe I'm not American or something. I don't know. Oh, and Jester's in as well. My God, we're getting the band back together. I think is what it's called. All we didn't now need is rough, and then we can get back to the fields of fire. Hey, what about that? Hey, what's going on? Well, you've missed you've missed the world premiere unboxing on the channel. First unboxing I've ever done, which was Navajo Wars, which I know I'm going to try and get it on the camera, which as you can see, it still had to shrink wrap, so I'm being sneaky there. But as you know, I told you that that was the one I had in shrink wrap. So I've unshrink wrapped, and we've done an unboxing. You missed it. So well, I mean, you hid that. You missed it. What can I say? Sorry. You know, should have been here. Anyway, who said Jester's name 3 times indeed, and Tony's. Yeah, Tony's as well. Tony's here as well. Tony's here as well. I was just explaining Tony about me messing up your platoon in Fields of Fire 2, and it was kind of sorry, not sorry, really. You know. Brun, enemy action Ardennes. We were talking about Bulge games because I have, as you can see, I've ordered A Time for Trumpets. So partially because it's battalion level, and that's interesting. It's got lots of scenarios, it seems. It has bits of the Whactam Rhine system, which I've got one of my, I wouldn't say favourite games, but one of my go-to games is the original Course on Pocket, which has bits of the Whactam Rhine system in it as well. So I thought, well, I might be able to be relatively familiar with it, but I don't know if I don't know what it's going to be like really. See how we go. See how I go with it. But it was 50% off, and it's $150 there. So I've saved $75 in my sad world, rather than spent $75. So Times of Trumpets, first one. So we'll see when that arrives. It's a big thing. Five game maps. That wouldn't fit in my house. Never mind my table. 12 counter sheets. So that'll keep me when I'm watching Aardwolf and clipping away. I can keep myself. What the hell my fingers are going to be looking like after that? Because I've got these. I've got these ones as clippers, and they're hard on the hands, those things. And so 12 counters. I'll probably do my usual thing, which is I'll get a couple, punch out the stuff that I need for a couple of scenarios, and then leave the rest on. However, probably it's GMT, so it's probably those laser cut things. So again, as soon as I open the box, all the counters will go whoosh out and spread around the room off the sprues. But we'll see. Jesse, you had some rain down there, have you? Yeah, we had rain today. Actually, yeah, I was meant to do some radio play recordings this morning in somebody's garden, and he was tipping it down, so it all got cancelled. Yeah, but we've had rain as well. Probably not as hard as what you get sometimes out there in the Midwest. Where are we? Enemy Action Ardennes. Yeah, that's the solo one, isn't it? It's a bit like the D-Day series. Yeah, that would be. I would actually be interested in that. And there's a Kharkov version. Okay, yeah, yeah. Interested now as well. This is bad for my health. Well, bad for my wallet and my health. This live stream really. Was it? What yours of Jester? What's still in the shrink wrap? Is it enemy action or Time for Trumpets? If it's Time for Trumpets, fair enough. It's a bit scary looking, the size of it, but I thought, what the hell. Next up, I got Next War Vietnam. And I actually had a little chat with it's my mate Jordan McMullen, who was doing the Elusive Victory stuff with me. We do live streams together. And he was saying, well, if you're American, you need to get Vietnam games. And I said, well, how about next war, Vietnam? He goes, yeah, not war, wrong war. So I called him a pedant. But yeah, I don't have any of the next wars. I quite like the look of Taiwan when it came out, but I didn't go for it, and now you can't get it. But Vietnam is almost as interesting as Taiwan, so I didn't go for it at the time. 50% off again, and it's not like I'm scraping the bottom of the barrel with a GMT catalogue because I've got most of their games. But this is of interest, and it's right up to date, bang up to date. So yeah, yeah, it might be interesting to have a spin with that. Anyway, don't know if anybody's had a go at that. I have Fire in the Lake. I do have Fire in the Lake. I also have the what was it? The bot, Trung bot, as well for solo as well. Although I tried it briefly, wasn't sure I liked it actually. And I'm also on P500 for the Fall of Saigon as well. So Fire in the Lake, I'm already there. I really like it as a Vietnam game. I think it's very good. And as you know from the channel, I've been doing Hot Dry Season with Pat Mullen. I've been doing the Vietnam War 65, 75 from the old Victory Games one as well. So I've been doing quite a lot of Vietnam. And actually, I'll come back to Vietnam because, yeah, this is where temptation is leading me. So what's next? Cataphract. Okay, so I've been toying with DBOH for a very long time. So initially I picked up, I think it was Alexander, very early on. I don't have it anymore. And I just couldn't get on with those trumping rules. The leaders trumping other... it seemed very, very gamey. So I didn't really like it. I also had Lion of the North, which was the Sweden, 1640s... 30 Years War version as well. And I sort of got on with that even less. However, later on, I got hold of the Deluxe SPQR and looked at it again and went, actually, this is quite cool. But there's lots of modules, but they're all kind of out of print. However, I did notice that they had Cataphract here that was still available. So I thought I'd go for that, and a bit of Justinian, a bit of the Huns, etc. Interesting area. So yeah, I thought I'd go for that. And it doesn't actually say here how many. I think it's on the box, isn't it? How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 battles. And what is it? It's going to be $35. You can't really complain about that, can you? Really? Actually, there's 2 more. So there's the Utis River and Catalonian Fields as well, which aren't on that picture on the front. So 8 battles, even more. And I think there's some kind of campaign system which you can run through the battles as well. So it could be interesting to see that. Am I going for Vietnam 65, 75? Interesting. Probably not. I don't know. I should do, but I'm not going to. And I know Pat's doing some work on a Vietnam 1965 to 75 like thing, but different. Not the same, but similar in some ways, which I might want to wait for as well. So I don't know. I don't think I'm going for Vietnam 65, 75. There's a few of these sort of big reprints I'm not going for Pacific War either. Everybody's gone nuts about Pacific War. A friend of mine had that, and I played. And the scenario seemed all right, but the campaign seemed completely overwhelmed. And yeah, I don't know. It just didn't float my boat. So this time round, I'm thinking, and it's Mark Herman. Usually, Mark Herman game, I'm there. I don't know. Just haven't done that. And I told you before, I was thinking about Third World War as well from Compass. So I don't know on reprints. I really don't know. I don't know what to think. Whether I need to go back there, because I did have 65 Vietnam 65-75, the Victory Games. I did have that. I did have Third World War. I didn't have Pacific War, but I had access to it. So I don't know. I get a kind of feeling that, progress. New games, new designs, leave that kind of stuff back in the past. I didn't go for like the new NATO. Everybody's gone nuts about the new NATO, which I know is completely reimagined. It's not the same game as the old one. But then again, it's not 1980s. As I said, I'm not really that much of a fan. And anyway, I kind of had this feeling that I'd like to see something new rather than go back over old times. Cole, good to see you. Good to see you. Dark Summer, how's that going? Yeah, I've got quite a lot of Normandy games, and I think I didn't go for that because I've kind of got a load of Normandy games. So do I need another one? It's almost in the sort of bulge kind of category as the too many games kind of thing. I don't know. It looks very similar to, or a similar sort of level at, what have I got? June 6th is the old Bird game I've got, which is quite good. And Hot Dry Season does look good. I don't think it's very good solo. So, frankly, also I'm not sure it was great as a live stream. It's a great game, but I'm not sure the live stream was great because most of the time I was sitting there wondering where the hell all my troops were under all these covered these numbered markers which represented. I don't think I spent half the time going, what the hell's that? Oh God, I've forgotten him. I've forgotten that. So I don't think it works that well just because of that. I think you need to be there on the board, concentrated on it, doing 2 hours and then coming back the next week. I don't think is the it doesn't kind of work with it really. I think it's not the game that's the problem. It's just the sort of the whole format of how we're doing it with the live streams. Here, I didn't think it worked. Right, back to where we were with Cataphract is another one here, and finally I got Arquebus. So yeah, I got hold of the big Men at Iron, triple game thing a while. I quite like it. It's a bit knockabout. It's a light version of GBOH really. Great Battles of History, like Cataphract, etc. But interesting, the Arquebus one. I didn't know that was available, and I just found it. In fact, no, I didn't find it actually. Rough Swordsman Wargaming just mentioned it, and I went, "Ooh, do they have? Do they still have that?" And I went, "Okay, yeah, I'm going to grab that." So again, I've ordered Arquebus as well. We'll see how that is. Italian Wars, I believe. Milan, Venice, that kind of stuff. The Bourbons or whatever. So it'll be interesting. 8 major battles: Fornovo, Cerignola, Agnadello, Ravenna, Marignano, Bicocca. Mispronouncing these, obviously. Pavia and Cerasoli. So interesting. I might look at that. Solitaire suitability very good, as is in Men of Iron, because it's kind of a chip pool kind of roll. No, not quite a chip pool, but roll a dice and activate, or hand over initiative thing. So the system's okay for solo. So went for that as well. So that's 4 games I managed to come up with. However, I've ordered these. However, there's another one I'm thinking of, and this is where Vietnam comes back in. It's the Silver Bayonet. So I had the original copy of this way back, like last century. I didn't really get on with it. However, this deluxe version, I've had a look at it, and it looks a lot nicer. I think I was kind of put off really. It didn't look very nice as a game. And I'm thinking about it. So I've got 3 days left to still think about it. I don't know what you guys think about Silver Bayonet. I've already tried it a lot more than I have, and a lot more recent than I have. I don't know what people think about it, whether it's an idea or not. Then 55, what's that? 27.50. It's fairly cheap. The other one I did look at, and I think I'm probably not going to go for, was Thunder in the East. Barbarossa game. Got a load of those. In fact, I don't have very many Barbarossa games at all. But I don't know. There's just too many around that I kind of just stayed away. Yeah, at least front operational I've got, but yeah, I don't know. Jesse ended up not getting it. Any particular reasons? Is there lots of hidden movement? Is there? Ah, okay. Cheers, Cole. Yeah, that probably does it for me then. Yeah. Okay. Maybe I won't go for Silver Bayonet. And that's maybe something I didn't like, because literally we're talking more than 20 years ago when I had to go with it and thought, okay, this doesn't really work. Maybe it doesn't really work solo. So that's a good thing. So other than that, embarrassingly, there's nothing else I'm interested in their. There's the Next War Career, and there's the I think one of the other Next War is available. I think, but I think Vietnam will do. So I might just leave it there. Thunder in the East. It's a big game, mini monster, playable though. Interesting thought about it. I don't know. There's cards involved in it, so there's a little bit of non-solo-y things, but we'll see. So, but JBX, you've gone for it. Cool. Okay, let me know what you think when you've got it. So yeah, and very good by GMT is they've done the sort of EU shipping thing, so you're not having to pay VAT to get to the post office to get your games and stuff, and there's big delays and stuff. So, Fred, is Gallipoli worth getting? Yeah. So, and actually, that was a very, very timely question. How are we doing for time? I've been rattling on for, God, an hour and 15 minutes, and you're still here. What's the matter with you all? Magnus has arrived. Brilliant. Good to see you, mate. You've missed a lot, so you need to rewind a bit and have a look at what we've been talking about. Mostly the GMT sale and Red Storm has been most of it, I think, isn't it? Yeah, where was I going? Oh yes, Gallipoli. So I am actually playing a game of Gallipoli at the moment, a campaign game on Vassal with. I think I mentioned this in the last chat, but if you weren't here, I'm in the UK playing Gallipoli with 3 Australians. Guess who's the Australian? Who's the Anzacs? Yeah, it's me. Yeah, I don't know. They selected it for me. It wasn't my choice. They were quite happy to let me, or they nominated me for being the Australian. So well, what can you say? Just go through what we have there at the moment. Sorry, that's the wrong game. I haven't got to them yet. Here we are with Gallipoli at the moment. So this is we're just getting on to turn 3. So that's sort of like still early morning, but not like crack of dawn. And so we've got the whole map here with the British landing here, and the British landing is awful. X Beach here, terrible. They've actually lost everything that's landed, and they've just been leathered by some Nordenfelt early machine guns, crank-handled machine guns there, and done the damage there. But I'm up on Anzac here, and let's zoom in, have a look at what we've been doing. So 3rd Australian Brigade here. These are the sort of purple guys. I've been losing a lot of them. So I lost. What was it? I lost a company against these guys. These are the Turks. These blue guys, and they're worth a quarter. But the the fire capability and the assault capabilities, it's a bit of a lottery, and I lost out on both of these. I actually had two companies assaulting these guys here. Where is this? This is the chessboard. Yeah, bounced off completely. Had another guy hitting the pickets here in this trench here. Bounced off again. The only success I really had was here at this point here, which is Lone Pine, where there was some Ottoman artillery, which I basically just jumped on and killed. But that might have not gone either way. So what's happened there? So just to explain, Fred. So there's kind of two layers to the game. So there's the order system, which is actually quite sophisticated. So you can't just send people anywhere. You have to have decided where they're going. And when you land as the Anzac in the historical scenario, which is what we're doing, you've got that fixed to start off with. You've got initial attack, you've got your objectives, which are mostly up here in around the high ground here, but also along this ridge. And you have a kind of currency in the game known as officer points. So if you want to change orders or you want to keep doing what you're doing, you need officers around. But you spend these officer points basically due to them being shot down. So if you assault, whether you win or lose, the actual fact of doing assault, you lose an officer point. If you lose a step, you lose 2 officer points. And I'll just show you this quick chart here. That one. So this is what's known as the army status displays. So these are the officer point counters, and this is 3rd Australian. So as you can see, they are well, actually on 0. They're on the wrong. They should actually be there. They've lost them all. So they failed their orders. They're now their orders have automatically stalled into a stalled attack. And then for 1 turn they have that, and then they automatically become a disorganized defense. So, and that means that you are restricted on how you can move and what you can do. And the 3rd Australian actually started up here where the 1st Australians are currently, and the 2nd Australian currently are, and the New Zealand brigades are. These are all brigades. That started on there, and I'm on turn 3, and it's rock bottom. So that's how lethal this can be. And once you lose out officer points, you're kind of stuck. These guys can't do very much because you want to change your orders. You need officer points to be able to do it. Because on the chart, if I get that chart back, these numbers here, the black is what you've got to roll on percentile dice to actually accept a new order with modifications, depending on what you're doing. And then the reds are you have to roll that less every turn to keep doing that order, or you just fail. So as you can imagine, you can see these Fs. So at the moment, if we managed to get anything, there's only a 10% chance of getting anything ordered by the Anzacs here. This is the Anzac row. 10% acceptance, and then the next turn it'll just fail anyway. So you have to build back the brigade. So this order system is on top of the sort of combat and movement system. So there's 2 things there. It's complicated. The version 2 rules are a lot better because it's got rid of a lot of the old. There's a lot of chrome. There was a lot of chrome. Things like routing. Things like what was the other thing? So there was a lot more intricate stuff about morale checks, which is now much simplified. They actually got rid of a whole dice roll on the combat, so it is a lot more streamlined. So I like the system. I've P500 the Mons, the Mad Minute, which is the second game in the series, the Rifles and Spade. Same designer, Jeffrey Phipps. I have gone for that, so I like the system. I think I have a bit of a problem with Wargaming Gallipoli. I think because if we look on this map, imagine this is out on somebody's table, and I'm not knocking the game, but it's just that's where the British are, and historically they got about here, and the Anzacs got about pretty much where they are. So there's this huge map that nothing is ever going to happen on, really, and it's just it's just a difficult situation to game, I think. And sort of kudos to Jeffrey Phipps for getting it done. And it's complex, but quite fulfilling, and quite a strong narrative in it. So I do like the game, but I'm not sure I like Gallipoli as a wargame situation. I think is the way I'd say it. You've got a light horse slouch hat, Al. Very nice, Magnus. Yeah, I've got an Akubra, which is your standard bush hat, but not the light horse one with the side up. No, I haven't got one of those. But yeah, very nice indeed. But yeah, so I was going to go through where we are here. So my 3rd Australian Brigade is completely messed up. They're not going anywhere. They've got one turn where they've got half movement, which they can go towards the objectives. They don't have to, and then they just have to stop because nobody's telling me, telling them what to do. The officers are all dead, or incapacitated, or mixed up with the men, whatever. But we've got 2nd Australian Brigade, which is the red guys here, which have just landed last turn, and their orders are to go straight up this spine, up to here, to Chinook Bay. And we'll see how they go. We've got 3rd Australian Division, which is now landing. So still a bit of the Reds and some of the Greens, which is the first. But they're in reserve, and so you have to change their orders. You have to order them to do something. At the moment, they'll just go on the beach and sit around and not do very much. But of course, the Turks have got some stuff coming. So they've just activated these guys, and these guys are Kemal's chaps. So Kemal Ataturk's chaps. So these are very good troops, and they've just been activated this turn, so they'll start moving. They've also got some troops moving up as well, down here, moving up. The British beaches are just an absolute slaughter. Yeah, it's tenuous foothold at most. Doing quite well on S Beach. But S Beach doesn't have a lot of support from the rest of them, so I'm not sure how well that's going to actually do. You got an Akubra as well. Wow, okay. Wow, 2 hats. Okay. Well done. And yes, they're just going to be landing. They land a turn later than the Anzac, so this will be their second. Their first turn was just absolutely terrible. But there you go. But that's Gallipoli there. So. But yeah, if you've got the room, or you're playing on Vassal, yeah, recommended. If you don't have the room, you're going to be leaning over a lot of map where nothing ever happens, and that's just how Gallipoli is, I think. So hopefully that's given you a few pointers on it. But I do like the system. The Rifle and Spade is very good, especially the version 2. Lots and lots of unnecessary chrome has been cleaned out of the system. Very very good. That was a good idea. Okay, and the other thing I was going to... you're thinking of getting it, okay. You're using Tony's rule of play 1 by 3. I thought that was Hethwill's. Is that Tony's? I think Tony got it from Hethwill. I don't know, I think Hethwill was the originator of that. But yeah. Okay, so, well, you know. Oh, sorry. Play 1 by 3. Gotcha now. Sorry, it was the play 3 by 1 with Hethwill. This is play 1 by 3 by 2. Yeah, okay. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, so you can get it. So what you on? So the other thing to have a look at is another Vassal game I'm playing as well, which is Stellar Horizons Compass Games. So this is not Hex Encounter, a little bit off the beaten track. I like the system. It's not perfect, but it's quite cool. It's yeah, certainly not military, but play 1 by 20. Store 1 in the garage. Where the hell do you store the others then? Yeah, exactly. I've got a full wall now. What the hell am I going to do? In fact, I've got one of these snazzy DVG like convention backpack things where you can stack a whole load of games in a backpack and take it square. And I did use it to go to my mates, and I come back here and I've got no space to put the actual games back, so they're still stuck in the back. That's how bad things have got. Help me. So, still Horizons anyway. So, we're about 20 years in. Not in game time. It's game time, not actual time. So, I am actually the Asians. So, I think I'm doing quite well, actually. So, in 20 years, I've established a base in Earth orbit. It's also got a research centre, a large research centre, which is the best you can get there as well, and even some settlements. Some people are actually living up there. I've also, in the last couple of turns, I've actually got a base on the moon because I found a load of hematite, which I think is iron ore. So I've put in a mining station. So I'm starting to get some. Looks like I'm better at Stellar Horizon than Space Core. Yeah, yes, absolutely, indeed. Yes, no, you're quite right. Yeah, Jester, don't bother with this game. You just stick with Space Core, you'll be fine. So I'm mining ore. There's three currencies in the game. There's ore, supplies, and fuel. Ores, of course, like metals and all that kind of stuff. So I've got a quite a good supply of that now, and got a couple of crewed vehicles which are doing quite well. Probably the thing I didn't do very well was over in Venus. You have these things called missions. So it's effectively a counter you pick up, and it tells you a planet or a asteroid or something like that, which you've been told to go and investigate. And you have to investigate to a certain level, which is pseudo-random. You pick a chit, and you need to get a chit which is 3 or 5. And there's loads of 1s and 2s, so it's kind of in the gods a bit. So last turn, I threw a hell of a lot of money at explorers to go to. These are robot explorers, so little spacecrafts and probes and stuff down to Venus. Spent a hell of a lot of money. Didn't complete the mission. So I'm not gonna lie, I wasted it because I did get tech, physics tech. I get off Venus. That's what that little blue market where it says explore is next to Venus. But I just didn't get the mission completed. So, and missions kind of earn you money for the rest of the game. It's kind of like kudos, like a sort of victory point or a status that gives you. And the more you can do. And you have to complete one before you get another. You can only get one at a time. So that was quite annoying that I couldn't get the mission done. But we want to. You do an economic turn every 10 years, and we're in the middle of the second economic turn, sort of 2050. So we're just getting our money, our tech together to go and buy some tech. There's a tech tree in the game, which I'll show you. Hopefully you can see it. Maybe zoom in a little bit. So everything's got a cost in tech. There's 3 different types of tech: engineering, physics, or biology. The 3 colours. And I'm lagging behind the Asians. We don't have very good tech. So, but there's loads of discounts. If somebody discovers something before you, you get a discount on paying for it if you follow up. So I'm quite happy to sort of lag behind and get everything on the cheap. But yeah, that's the Stellar Horizon where we are. So we're about to do the technologies now. They're buying the technologies. One interesting thing that has appeared is in the Mars flyby box, which is kind of like the junction next to Mars. We actually have our first pirate. So we have a space pirate. It's that kind of game. So so we've been very peaceful and not quite cooperative, but just getting on with our own things. Now we have somebody who doesn't like us on the board, so that'll be difficult. And it's annoying actually, because my plan was I was going to try. I've got now the tech, or I will have the tech to be able to get to Mars. At the moment, I can only stay around Earth and the Moon. I'll be a tech to get to Mars. Because I want to go to Phobos, which is this moon here, which has rather a very good mining, very good frozen methane, which gives you a lot of fuel if you have a mining station. Now, I was going to head off to that, but firstly, the South Americans appeared, which is a non-player faction, so that was a random thing. So they've already got a base there, which is annoying, because that does affect, having more than one base does affect how much stuff you can get out of it. And then the pirate appeared, so that's kind of scuppered what I wanted to do next turn. Bit annoying, but there you go. So yeah, that's Stellar Horizon stuff. So it's going pretty slowly on Vassal, you know, PVM, but it's reasonably amusing. It's a very big game, quite expensive as well. So you know, I suppose you need to make sure you really want it. Yeah, I like the look of it. So that's where we are with Stellar Horizon. So, and let's just turn off our. There we go. I'm back as originally. So yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to cover, and this evening, just on a chat basis, and it's an hour and a half, and an hour and a half of my voice is plenty enough for anybody, I would say. So unless there's any other questions and comments and stuff we need to go through, let me have a quick look. Carl, what's the next game? So you're meaning Stellar Horizons? Yeah. Oh, actually, I forgot to show you what was underneath the Navajo Wars map. So actually, I'll do that quickly. So do hang on. Let me organise myself again. We'll get our second camera going. We'll shift myself into the corner again, and let's have a quick look at what's across the way. Hopefully the microphone won't go whizzing off in a random direction. And as luck would have it, of course, I've gone and buggered up what we were looking at here. So again, I'm going to try and point and talk a bit louder than I should do. I'll take my headphones off because it's going to affect the microphone. Hang on. So you should still be able to hear me, although I can't hear myself. Well, I can, but not through the system. So we've got Galicia 1914 here, Paper Wars from Compass Games, and yeah, so there we go. That's the game there. So this is very much a light version of the 1914 system from GMT, which I quite like. It's fairly chewy, it's quite complex, but this version is a lot simpler. They've really sort of got rid of all the extra bits. Lots of the supply is so much simpler than this. The scale is a lot lower, and we're on turn 7 here, which is September the 4th. And grab where did I put my tweezers? Here we go. Well, yeah, September the 4th, about halfway through the game actually, and the Austrians are doing quite well actually. There a couple of these yellow triangles here are the actual victory points. So they've got, there's Lublin here, which is the big prize. They're not that far away, sort of three hexes away, possibly could be closer. Very close to Krasnostav, which is one of the minor places, and also very good to Rebetsov as well. Now on the Russian side, all their VPs are all down here, and they've been coming in, and this is where I've buggered up the stacks with the Navajo Wars map. I'll repair that, but I think, there we go. That's not too bad. Oh, and he's gone off as well. So under here is Lemberg. It's the big city there, which is again the big prize, which the Russians got historically, and they've got 3 whole corps here trying to bash their way in, and having a bit of trouble with it as well. To be honest, it's a hard slog, much more I think than it was historically. But the Austrians on this side are kind of being bled white, but so are the Russians really. So we'll see what happens there as well. In the centre, it's a bit not much happening really. I think it's just trading blows much. But yeah, that's so there's this kind of tilt happening. The Austrians going this way, and then the Russians going this way. So we'll see who wins out on the victory points here. But yeah, it's a good game. It's quite interesting. Let's sit back down. Playable. The actual rules aren't that long. If you know 1914, it's an absolute doddle. Yeah, and yeah, quite recommend that actually as a magazine game. Pretty good. There are a couple of bits of errata, counter errata on it, but not terrible, I suppose. I think some of the some of the Russian divisions on the back, they're printed with the same values as the front, whereas they should be reduced because it's a step loss kind of level. High Frontier, Shane. Yes, yeah, I got that. I got that recently. Yeah, I managed to find one. If you were on the original, let's get my microphone sorted out again. Things out of the way. Yeah, I managed to find one in Belgium at the beginning of the year, and then had all kinds of problem getting it delivered, and it only came probably about 3 weeks ago. So I've had a couple of little goes with it, but it's yeah, it does tax the brain a bit. There's some simple scenarios, and there's a very good kind of tutorial run through. But even then, getting your head around it is a little tricky. Looks good and seems to be good, and I like the concepts it's got on there, where the movement points are in acceleration, not in just movement. You know, not just it's not distance. You don't go distance. You do go distance, but actually, how you measure that distance is in acceleration and deceleration. It's quite good. That's quite clever, quite neat. Yeah, they pushed back the well. I think because there was a Kickstarter last year, and I think it ran out very quickly. And I was quite lucky to find this copy at a Belgian game shop. So it's very difficult. Does it have better rules than Fields of Fire? There's nothing wrong with the rules. It's just the concepts are tricky. That's all. It's not that they're badly written. In fact, I think they're very, very well written. It's just getting your head around what the hell they're talking about when things about net thrust and dry mass and wet mass. So it's very technical, but the rules are good, very, very, very nice. But there's a lot of them, and yeah, you just like it's sometimes you get with that game where you know what you're allowed to do, but what the hell should you do, kind of thing. You need to build your rocket, so you know you kind of, well, what is a good rocket and what isn't a good rocket? Is this a good payload or is this not a good payload? You've got to kind of get into that idea, and there's some help in the rules, but you know you need to know the cards to know what's good and what's bad. So yeah, I think it's a good game. But I just need. I think I need some time with it. I think is what we have. With Chris, you're saying with next war with the advanced rules. Okay, is that with Vietnam? Do they have that in the Vietnam game as well? Because that's what will be coming from the GMT sale. Good, right. Well, that was the last thing I wanted to show you. So again, if you're still listening, then good God, well done, very well done. And I think I'll. It's in all of them. Brilliant. Okay, well, I'll look out for that. Fine. So that's all I wanted to say, and hopefully it's been somewhat entertaining. And yeah, we'll run it again at some point. It tends not to be a regular thing, but you never know; might turn out to be. And I think we should be good for Wednesday with a new game with myself and Jordan. And what's actually is Jordan's actually teaching me a game. Would you believe? So watch out for the advertising on that, and hopefully I'll see you on Wednesday. And thanks very much for the chat, for the contributions in the chat. It's brilliant. If I'm sitting here just talking to myself, then it's not much fun. So, but you guys have made it fun. So thanks very much for that. And hopefully I might see you on Wednesday and maybe next weekend for this time with some more rough and blue stuff, if we can manage to get ourselves organised. But until then, thanks very much, and bye for now.